Hey there, it's Pete with GCI Turf. Hope you're having a great day today. And I'll go over something with you. And it's going to be kind of a twofold thing here. It's going to allow me to kind of talk through what some potential changes to my turf out here that I'm considering. And number two, it might help you if you are considering making a change to your turf. You know, when you have summers like we have had this summer, 2024, the current summer we're going through. I know the whole country isn't experiencing this, but where I live here in North Carolina, it's been about 6 weeks since we had any measurable rainfall, and that's where I live specifically. Maybe 5 to 6 weeks, something like that. And the heat dome, or whatever they're calling it, in layman's terms, it's just considerably hotter than it's been. Windier too. I've noticed the wind has been a little, abnormally more than usual. And, the wind will dry the ground out just as quick as the heat will, in my opinion. But when you have summers like this, it kind of makes you, every now and then, kind of sit back and think and reassess situations. And, do I want to keep doing this? And do I want to take a chance on another summer like this happening next year, and the year after, and the year after? Or do I take a chance and, we get a little rain to help out in a milder summer and that kind of thing. So I don't know the future. Only the Lord knows that. So I can't tell you what the next 5 summers are going to be like. But I do know that when you have a summer that is this rough on turf grass, it makes me think. I don't know if it makes you think, but it does me. And so this video is going to kind of be all about, I might be making a type of turf change here where I live. And, some of you may be in the same position. You may be considering, I might want to look at a different turf type. And so I'm going to go over I've done my homework. Well, I ain't doing my homework. I know all this stuff. I prepared. I'm not shooting from the hip like I typically do. I've actually got all this stuff written down. I've spent quite a bit of time on this, writing all this out, so I kind of stay on point and get through this video as quickly as possible. It might be a little bit of a longer video. So if you're not a detailed person, if you just want the 2,000-foot view or give me the 30-second rundown of it, this isn't going to be it, because y'all know me. If you've been watching for any length of time, I'm a detailed guy. I like to know the details behind things and the why and, when and how and all that kind of stuff. The reason I'm even making this video is because I owe it to you. The overwhelming majority of my viewers, I am assuming, watch me for my turf type tall fescue, for my fescue which is around the house. I call that area around the house or my yard, and it's separated by a row of cryptomeria and maple trees, and then down the side of the property, the same cryptomeria. I think they're Cryptomeria japonica and maple trees separate me from my neighbor. Kind of secludes my house and my yard in that one little section. And then back here in the back, this is part of our property. All these lots in here are like an acre lot, 0.97 acres or something like that. And mine is not 2 acres. It's all one property. I think it's 0.97 is what the actual acreage is. So it's not even a full acre. It's just I have it split up, fescue up there, and then back here, it used to be fescue, brought this shed in, this building, and then I converted it all over to the GCI Turf Blue Heat, which is Kentucky Bluegrass. So now you kind of know the layout of my yard, and that's all you guys have seen on YouTube. Is I show some of my athletic field work, and then of course I've got Tip Tough Bermuda at the shop. I show some of that, but the majority of what I show and the majority of the people that follow me, again, I'm assuming, I just got a strong idea that you're following me for cool season turf, fescue, and possibly bluegrass. So I feel like I owe you this, not necessarily an explanation. I'm not explaining myself to you. I'm just talking you through my thought process that if I'm going to do something this major, that I want you to know how I think about it and how I look at it as a lawn care applicator. I've been doing this for 20 years, run a business, got 16 employees. So, I'm not just your average normal DIY guy. Not that nothing's wrong with that. I'm just saying, I've been doing this for a long time. So I kind of may or may not know of things to think about and consider before I or you potentially might want to make a change in turf type. Of course, I want to make sure that you are aware I am not trying to change your mind. I don't care what kind of grass you have in your yard. I don't care how you grow it. I don't care what you do with it. It's your yard. It's your grass. You have the grass that you want, as long as you live in the right location. We'll get into some of that in a minute. But it's isn't like a sales pitch or a marketing ploy or something like that. I'm not making the video to try and convince you or anyone to change turf types. I don't care what kind of grass you have. It's your yard. You put the grass in it that you want. Okay, I'll just help you grow it if that's if that suits you. So I reckon the first thing is you need to know who you are. Okay, I had to think about this a little bit. You need to know your likes, your lifestyle, if your faith plays into this, if your family plays into it. And I know we're just talking about grass. You've heard me say this 100,000 times. It's just grass. And at the end of the day, that's all it is. It's just grass. You walk on it. It's beneath your feet. So, but in the micro context of talking about grass, a lot of people, that's their hobby. That's their passion. Like me, it's my passion. I do it for a living. So I need to be aware of grass. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want anybody to take this video as, oh man, grass is high and mighty. Well, it's not. Okay, if you think it is, I hate to be the one to bust your bubble, because it's just grass is all it is. As far as knowing who you are, how your yard and how much time you're going to spend in the yard, how that fits your schedule, how it fits your lifestyle. Do you live a fast-paced lifestyle and you work a lot of hours? Wonder who that's talking about. It's talking about me, right? Of course, this obviously is going to depend on where you live. If you live in the upper corner of Maine, probably wouldn't recommend you put Bermudagrass in. Of course, I don't know, there might be some Bermuda up there, but I just can't see it happening. But you kind of get what I'm saying. There is some things that you have to look at before you go to thinking about making a turf type change. And like I said, we'll go over that in a little bit. But one of the main reasons is I'm considering a change in turf type is my schedule. It is what it is. My athletic field work here at work is just exploded. And I just don't have as much time to spend in the yard as I used to. And I can't catch disease before it happens. I can't keep up with my watering like I need to. There's so many things I just can't keep up with anymore simply because of my lifestyle. And I'm not complaining about my lifestyle. I live the life I choose to live, or live it as a way that I feel like is suiting God's will. But man, when you're busy like that and you work the hours I work and everything's go, 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 and sometimes it's just grass gets thrown to on the back burner. And that is literally what's happened back here with my bluegrass for sure. I've had this bluegrass back here for about 4 years now. And this year I have definitely not kept up with the watering schedule as I have in the past. As you know, bluegrass requires more water than fescue, especially where I live, and is more prone to drought and heat stress. And it just will not look as good during the heat of the summer unless it has the hydration. And this weird summer we're having absolutely plays into that. Okay, it most certainly does. It's not just my fault that I can't keep up with watering. The weather has a lot to do with that as well. That's kind of the first thing that you have to think about is know who you are as a person. How is the turf type you want to manage in your yard, or in this case, in my yard, how does it fit your schedule? It kind of goes down, I got like a list of 4 things right here, to kind of let you know more about who I am and how these are the details behind what I just said. First and foremost, I'm a believer. I'm a child of God, born again through the blood of Jesus, and it is appointed once to man to die. It is appointed unto man once to die. What I'm trying to say by that is you only get one life to live. You're not obsolete. You're not going to be set apart to where you don't die. Okay, so if somebody told you you weren't going to die, I'm sorry. I'm here to bust your bubble on that as well. You're going to get old, and you're going to die, and to me, man, I like to experience different things in life. I'm a what's the word I'm looking for? Intrigued? No, maybe that's not the word. I like to learn new things. Okay, I like to look at doing different things, trying different things. Gosh, there is a word that I'm trying to say, but I just can't, it's not coming to mind. Maybe I'll think about it in a minute and tell you. But the point is, you live one life, and I don't want to be handcuffed down. I don't want to be handcuffed down just to be limited to, you can only have fescue or you can only have bluegrass. Whether it be because of the people that watch me, whether it be because of where I live, and of course, that's kind of semi-true, right? That last part, but gosh, what is that word? It is killing me because I cannot come up with that word that I'm looking. Intrigued. Maybe that is what it is. Maybe I'm intrigued by different grass types and wanting to learn different grass. Maybe that is the word I'm looking for. I don't know. But anyway, believer first. And the main thing out of that is you're going to die and I'm going to die. And I just want to experience different things in life before I die. Second thing is my family. Yes, my family does play a role in the turf type that I have. My wife loves fescue. She is a fescue girl, just like I'm still a fescue guy. Okay, I don't want you to think I'm throwing fescue under the boat. We both are fescue people. We like that. That's hands down our favorite turf type, and so I have to keep her in mind on this switch too. Another thing though is my son, my oldest son, who looking to spend some more quality time with him. He's picked up the game of golf, and golf equals Bermudagrass in 95% of the cases. I know some of you folks up north play on cool season grasses, but where I live, there are no cool season fairways here. There are none, zero. They're pretty much, I think maybe you get up in the mountains, you might find a handful. But for the most part, they are all Bermuda grass, warm season turf, and a lot of our greens down here are Bermuda. We do have some bent grass, but anyway, that's for a different story. The point of the family thing is changing turf types could potentially give me more time with my oldest son. Third thing is my work. I manage a lot of acreage when it comes to Bermuda grass. We manage, as a company, we manage probably 10 times the acreage of fescue as we do Bermuda, as far as our residentials goes. As far as what I do at work, I manage a lot of Bermuda grass athletic fields. And by having a Bermuda grass here, that's just going to help me learn my job better. I'll be able to keep an eye on the Bermuda every single day, more days than I have where I'm just going out to work and seeing it, every other month or every month or whatever it is. And then the fourth thing is my personal interest. I just like having a nice yard. And I'm not going to lie about this. This year with the bluegrass and coupled with this summer and my schedule and not being able to keep up with the watering, not even really knowing of being educated on the different diseases that bluegrass gets, this summer caught me off guard. Not going to lie to you. I have to be straightforward with you on that. And the bluegrass looks, we just got a rain. Just got like 1.5 inches of rain on one thunderstorm. It poured rain for about an hour, which was wonderful. Not complaining about that. So the bluegrass actually looks quite a bit better than it did last week at this time, but still, it's nowhere remotely close to my standard. It ain't even in the ballpark the way I want this to look. And again, that goes back to my work schedule, not having the time to invest in it like I have in years past. And of course, this weather has really played a big part of that. So let's go over turf types. And then we're going to go into some characteristics, advantages, disadvantages of the two. And that way, this will give you some ideas on what to expect out of different turf types. So cool season grass types: tall fescue, Kentucky bluegrass, ryegrass, bent grass, which the only way I like bent is if it's on a golf green. That's it. Ryegrass, I've overseeded with that at the shop and ball fields forever. And of course, I got bluegrass back here, fescue up there. Warm season grasses are like Bermuda grass, St. Augustine, centipede, and zoysia. We do manage a few zoysia yards. It's not a whole lot of them, but we do have some we manage. I've never managed the first drop of St. Augustine or centipede, so that's why you never hear me talk about those. If I don't have hands-on experience with any length of time with a certain grass type, I'm not going to try to educate you on it. You can forget that. I know people on YouTube don't know a dang thing about a grass type because they've never had it before and they're trying to tell you how to grow it. I'm just not going to be that guy. I have to have personal experience with a turf type for a period of time or extended period of time before I'm even going to think about trying to tell you something about it. But when we're talking about all these characteristics, advantages, disadvantages, strictly talking about Bermuda. Okay, you can take St. Augustine, centipede, and zoysia, take them out of this video completely because I'm not referring to any of those grass types. I'm strictly talking about Bermuda grass. So the characteristics of Bermuda and cool season are basically dead opposite. Your cool season grasses are going to grow best in the spring and fall, whereas warm season grasses are going to grow best in the summer. Cool season grasses typically have an upright growth. Of course, you have some like bluegrass that kind of cross over, that will grow a little bit laterally as well, where the majority of Bermuda grasses, yes, they will grow upright to some extent, grow up in height. Personally, I think that the greatest characteristic of Bermuda is that it grows laterally and spreads laterally. So an advantage of a cool season turf is if you maintain it well enough in the summer, you can pretty much keep it green all year long, depending on your weather. Obviously, when you guys get up north and you have those brutal winters, the winter weather is going to shut the turf down and make it go dormant, just like it would in the summer if you don't have enough rain, if it gets too hot. It's the same exact thing, it's just 2 different times of the year the turf shuts down. But where I live in the transition zone, we don't get those kind of winters. So our cool season grass typically stays green, maybe not the same springtime green, but stays green during the entire winter time. And then of course during the summer is when you know, if cool season is going to go dormant here where I live, it's going to be in the summertime. You can ride up and down my road, my neighborhood, every single yard in here just about is shut down and went dormant because of the weather. So advantage of Bermuda warm season grass is the aggressive summer growth, self-repairing, and low mowing height. Now I put golf in parentheses because that kind of goes back to my personal likes and hanging out with my son. So any of you that play golf and you hit your drive, hopefully you land in the fairway. You go out there, you take your 7-iron. You take your shot, you take out a divot. Divots when the club face comes in contact with the ball, and right shortly after that, it digs out a little piece of sod. And typically on the golf cart they'll have a little thing of sand. I like to personally go get the chunk of sod and put it back in the divot, and then put a little bit of sand over it and pat it down, smooth it out. Most people. I don't think a lot of people really do that from the looks of the fairways around here, but they do take the sand and put it in there. Well, the spreading, if I come back in a week, typically if it's, the Bermuda's got the right nutrients in the ground, being fed right, and it's been watered correctly, that divot will have filled in about a week's time. So it's self-repairing. So that is a huge major advantage, is that it'll repair itself. Now obviously, well, I don't know, I might come out here with a 9-iron and take divots out of the yard and then let it repair, but most normal human beings aren't going to do that. Okay, so I don't know if that as the self-repairing aspect goes along with a divot. I don't know if those two are going to relate in a home yard. But the point is, it is self-repairing. If something were to happen in your yard, it can heal itself, and you don't have to plant a grass seed to make it do that. Disadvantages of cool season is obviously the watering in the summer. Depending on the severity of the summer is depending on how much water you need to give the turf. Typically, about 1 inch per week. I've seen summers like this one where I'm pumping about 2 inches per week to my fescue, and still it's struggling a little bit in areas. It's just that dang hot and that dry. Another disadvantage is for sure fungicides. Where I live in the transition zone, the heat and humidity are going to be the culprit of fungus showing up in yards, brown patch, leaf spot, gray leaf spot. I found some dollar spot. Pythium is another bad one that can get in cool season grasses, and fungicides are expensive. They are high dollar. So that's definitely a disadvantage. Reseeding, and this kind of plays into it. It's a non-self-repairing. Now, of course, bluegrass, it's going to repair itself to a certain extent. I've noticed with mine, spring and fall, it does do some crawling and does do some repairing on its own. But with the summer that we've had this year, some of these spots are so big that I'm definitely going to have to reseed them. Even though they make some fescues that are rhizomatous, rhizomatous, however you want to say it, they still don't fit in the same category with how Bermudagrass will spread and fill in. So reseeding in the fall and non-self-repairing water and fungicides are definitely disadvantages of cool season turf. Disadvantage of Bermuda warm season grass, and this is the big one. This is the one that nobody likes. I think this is the one that is the single biggest turnoff for anybody to have Bermuda, is that it turns brown in the winter. Paper sack brown. Now, I just met a gentleman online, Mr. Lush Lawn, I think is what he goes by. I don't know his actual name, but he has a Bermudagrass down in Texas, and his didn't go dormant last year. Well, that's because he lives down in Texas, and they don't get the winter weather like we would get, and especially you folks up north. But for us, our Bermuda definitely goes dormant because we do have frost multiple times during the winter. And so the Bermuda is just a natural thing. It goes dormant, wakes back up in April, May-ish, and then you grow it again from October to November, goes dormant again during the winter. So that is a major disadvantage to that. But there are all ways to compensate for that, okay? Whereas the disadvantage with fescue or cool season grass in the summer, maybe you can't push enough water to it to keep it hydrated. Maybe it's just impossible, whether due to limitations on a well or limitations on your budget. If you have city water or county water, maybe you just don't want to spend that much money on your water bill. So where there are limitations there, I don't feel like I have the limitation on the Bermuda in the winter by it being brown, because I can paint it or I can overseed it, okay? And I've showed you multiple times on my channel the difference in the two, but at the end of the day, they are viable, legit, and acceptable options for Bermudagrass in the winter. If they were not, then golf courses and high-end athletic fields, sports complexes wouldn't do it. Okay, it is what it is. Another disadvantage of Bermuda is it creeps in places you really don't want it. This is kind of specifically talking about common Bermuda. That's a kind of a wild Bermuda grass that we don't want it in the fescue. It's evil when it gets in fescue. And it's also evil because it will crawl up the side of your house. It's so aggressive. It has those long stringy runners where they tack down every so often. You can pull it up and it goes doop, 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 like that. And but I do want to say that I wouldn't plant common Bermuda back here. It would be a more of a hybrid, high-end style Bermuda grass. So it's not going to get out of control quite as much as like a common Bermuda would. So as far as disadvantage with it spreading into places you don't want it, kind of, sort of on the fence about that. But if I keep my beds edged and I spray them once a week, once every other week, I can keep the Bermuda out of my beds pretty easily. So regional differences, and probably should have went over this very first. Cool season grasses are better suited for northern climates, meaning if you took the country as a whole, drew a line right down the middle, north, that's typically going to be better for cooler grasses, cool season grasses, because it fits the characteristics of the grass better. The temperatures are typically cooler, okay, in the average throughout the entire year. Where you look at warm season grasses, they're better suited for summer climates because typically they're warmer during most of the year. Now, where I live, here in North Carolina, we have what's called a transition zone. That's a strip, kind of goes right across the center of the country, where we kind of fall into the best of both worlds, meaning we could have a mild or a hardcore winter. It just depends on how the dice is rolled. We could have a hardcore or a mild summer. Just depends on how the dice is rolled. We kind of get the extremes of the northern climate at times, and then get the extremes of the summer climate at times. And you know, obviously spring and fall, they're going to be pretty much a what's the word? A precise spring and fall, meaning a lot of it's happened in summers past where, you know, come out of winter, it turns straight into 9 degrees. But that's typically not what happens here. We get a true springtime and we get a true fall time. You know, very low temperatures in the morning, climbs up 70, 80 during the day. Those are absolute ideal conditions for growing cool season grasses. So, you know, transition zone, you can go either way. You know, you can do the warm season Bermuda, but when you get the winter time, know that it's going to go dormant. Or you can do cool season grass, and when you get into the summer, unless you pump the water to it, know that the potential for it to go dormant is there. Mowing differences. Cool season grass, I've seen it mowed with a rotary style mower and a reel style mower. You know, for 3 years I mowed this bluegrass back here with a reel mower, and it absolutely loves it. Fescue, I tried a reel mower on it, it don't work. But I use a rotary mower on that. The overwhelming majority of people in my area mow cool season grass with a rotary mower. It's like 99.9% use a rotary mower. Warm season grass, obviously you can use a rotary mower on it. And in my area where I live, I would say 90% of people with residential yards and has a Bermuda yards mow it with a rotary mower. Now, if you include all our athletic fields and sports complexes and things like that, if you include that in with the residential, then obviously those numbers are really going to go, you know, even out a lot more, because almost all of the athletic fields I manage and golf courses, you know, that's grass as well, you know, all that kind of thing, they're reel mowers, 100% reel mowed. And not to say that homeowners around here don't reel mow, because they do, but the overwhelming majority use a rotary style mower. So fertilization, cool season grasses, typically you're going to do the heaviest fertilization in the spring or fall. That is during the prime growing season for those turf types. And then warm season, you're typically going to do the heavier fertilization in the summertime when it's in its prime growing. You know, obviously fertilizing cool season grass during the summer, you know, I'm a huge fan of that. There's no way I'm going to cut the nitrogen off to the grass during the summer, as long as you have to put that in there, as long as the hydration is there to support growth. It doesn't mean I'm going to hammer down with a pound a month on my bluegrass in the summer. That's not going to happen. You know, I'm a big fan of spoon feeding during the summertime months, fescue and blue, and that's just giving it, you know, little small amounts of nitrogen, just kind of keep the color up, keep it going through the summer, help it fight off stress and all that kind of thing. But of course, I need to stress to you that hydration is a requirement for doing that. And of course, the opposite end of the spectrum for Bermuda grass is it's dormant in the winter. You don't put any fertilizer on it. Fungicides, cool season grasses, depending on the weather, meaning if you live up north and you don't live in a place where you have to worry about very high humidity, then your fungicide bills can probably going to be minimal to nothing. If you try and grow fescue or bluegrass in the transition zone or south, that means you're probably going to have a fungicide bill. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't some kind of magical circumstance out there to where cool season grass does not need fungicides during the summer. I'm sure there's some kind of magical place that exists, but it's been my experience for 20 years of treating fescue that when the conditions are favorable in the summertime, you better have a fungicide down, especially as a preventative manner, or it can do some damage or cause some really ugly areas in your turf. Warm season grass fungicides, specifically Bermuda. I know zoysia and St. Augustine tend to have some disease issues, but really, to my knowledge, I think it's what spring dead spot, spring dead patch, whatever you call it, for Bermuda, and that's typically coming out of a hard winter. That's possible. And then other than that, man, Bermuda is just not a very disease-prone grass. I mean, it's been my personal experience in growing Bermuda probably 15-ish years out of the 21 I've been in business. I've been managing Bermuda turf, and I just can't think of maybe but one circumstance where we had to apply a fungicide, and it was a low-rate fungicide, minimal application, cleared it right up, and we've had zero issues since. So Bermuda grass just isn't a turf that you're going to have to spend a lot of time or money spraying fungicides. Watering, cool season grass is considerably more watering during the summertime versus Bermuda. And of course, Bermuda's less watering during the summertime. Typically the winter time, the rain you get is sufficient for both turf types. But the big difference is watering during the summer. For cool season grass, it just takes quite a bit more than for Bermuda. Establishment, cool season turf grasses, you can sod them or use grass seed. And you, of course, the watering habits that go along with that is basically you want to keep it moist. Sod might require a little bit more than just keeping it moist, but for grass seed, cool season turf, basically keep the top of the ground moist and you have germination fairly quickly. That's for fescue. Bluegrass can take a little bit longer. Whereas the difference is warm season establishment, of course, you can do sod as well for a lot of the cultivars. You can do sprigs. Sprigs is what's a good way to word this? Some of you may not even know what it is. If you have your canopy of Bermuda turf, they make these machines that will go down in and dig out part of the Bermuda, and it will leave a portion of the Bermuda behind. And it collects that debris or that material that is pulled out of the ground. And typically you kind of get some rhizomes stolen, pull it up with that, a little bit of a leaf blade, pull it up with that. And it's put in a bag or a truck or something and haul it off to a site. And you take those clippings that are left over and you spread, and it's not the grass clippings, okay? It's not like mowing, because you can take just strictly grass clippings of Bermuda. I don't think you can throw that down and water it and it'll come back up. You have to have actually parts of the stem, the rhizome stolen, the parts of the plant, the reproductive part of the plant, and then you would prep the ground and spread those out, tamp them, call it a sprig, crimper, I think is what they're called, I believe. And that would press the sprigs down into the ground, and you start watering. And from those sprigs, you can establish a full yard. If I make the change here, I'll sprig. That's what I do. Will not sod. Sprig's quite a bit cheaper, considerably less labor intensive, like night and day different labor intensive. So that would probably be the way I go. And of course, for Bermuda, you can do grass seed as well. The difference in establishment when you compare cool season seed versus warm season seed and warm season sprigging, Bermuda seed, and compare that to cool season seed, is cool season grass seed watering, you keep the ground moist. Okay, you don't necessarily need it wet. With most Bermuda grass seeds that I'm aware of, you need to keep the ground almost wet for like 30 days before it will crack open and germinate and begin new life. And the same thing with sprigging. You need to keep the ground extremely, I don't know, I hate to sound like you're drowning it, but you almost need to drown it without moving or without putting enough water down where that your seed or sprigs start to move off site. So it just takes a lot more water in establishment. Herbicides, as far as broadleaf weed control goes, they're a dime a dozen. You know, the sky's the limit on what you can get for Bermuda and for cool season grass. As far as broadleaf weed control goes. But now when you start talking about taking one grass type out of the other grass type, let's say you have Bermuda and you want to take fescue or rye out of the Bermuda, and it leaves you with 100% Bermuda. And let's say you have a fescue yard and you have some common Bermuda in it, and you want to take the common Bermuda out of the fescue so that you have 100% fescue yard. The herbicides are night and day different. Limited, very limited, and very limited on success as far as taking, like, say, like a common Bermuda, Poa triv, Poa annua, out of a fescue or out of a bluegrass. They're very limited. Still haven't gotten to try velocity yet. I've been seeing some good promising things about that. I am going to make a push to try quite a bit of that this coming year. But it still goes back to Bermuda. You know, Pilex Acclaim, what's the other one that everybody talks about all the time? Fusillade, Over the Top, whatever that other one is. There is select circumstances to where, yeah, you can probably take Bermuda out, and it's probably happened before, but I've tried every single combination, every single rate that every single chemical is labeled for, and I'm convinced you can't kill it 100%. Now, when it comes to taking out a cool season grass out of a Bermuda, oh man, you got a bunch of options, a bunch. Tribute Total, Revolver, I think Celsius is in there, Katana. There's just several different options for that. So the herbicides are quite a bit different when it comes to Bermuda grass versus cool season grass. So that's kind of the characteristics of the two turf types. If I left something out, I apologize. Why I am considering changing turf types. And now we got the farm on the market, waiting for that to sell. When that sells, we will get back on the trail of looking for more land. Once we find some land and find water and make sure everything perks and all that, then and only then will we look at selling the house we're in now. Okay, I'm very anal about having ducks in a row when it comes to building a house. I'm going to, first of all, the land's got to suit us, which we had that with this one. Second of all, we've got to get enough water from a well to supply me in doing my YouTube videos along with running the house. We got enough water out there to run a house, but not do what I do out here. So those are two requirements. And right now, land in our area is very difficult to come by. So we might be here for a little bit. Okay, my wife still thinks we're going to jump out of here and go start building next month. And, I've tried to be as encouraging as I can and letting her know that it's probably not going to happen. So I'm looking that we'll probably be here for at least another year before all that can transpire and take place. So this turf type, this change of turf type really depends on us selling our home. You know what I mean? If things were to escalate rapidly, then might not be a good idea to do it. But I'm a fairly intuitive guy, and I can look down the pipeline, and I don't think that's going to happen in the next 6 or 8 months. So that's one of the main reasons I'm considering changing this back here. So I just went down like a bullet point list right here. Why I'm considering personally changing. Number one, it's easier. Bermudagrass is easier as a whole. It's easier to grow versus cool season turf, in my opinion. Number two, it fits my schedule much better. Number three, time with my son, because if he continues to be interested in golf has Bermudagrass on it. Maybe we can get back here and I can start teaching him some things about Bermuda, spend some time out here, or, maybe a big putting green back here. This would be a huge putting green, or a big chipping area, or whatever. So time with my son. Possibly pick up different viewers on YouTube. Number five, it's cheaper. I think overall, from start to finish, Bermudagrass is cheaper to grow than fescue, or especially cheaper than this bluegrass where I live. Number six is less water. 7, no fungicides, which would be absolutely fantastic. And number 8, low mow. Since I've been playing around with the low mowing heights back here, man, I love the low mowing height. Of course, I still cut my fescue between 3 and 4 inches. Just depends on how I feel during the summer. But man, this low mow back here, and then when you get on a golf course and you're walking across Bermuda that's cut sub half an inch, I guess it depends on what you like. I like them both. I like a tall cut grass with fescue. I like short cut grass with Bermuda. And I like both of them with bluegrass. So, to me, that's another reason I'm considering changing, is because I can keep it cut down really tight. That kind of plays into my golf, you know what I mean? And getting my son back here, and maybe we could spend afternoon upon afternoon upon afternoon chipping balls back and forth back in the backyard, kind of talking about whatever. There are some fears that I have with this, and I need to go over that with you. Full disclosure on this first fear is fear of changing grass type, that I lose some customers, or you lose views on YouTube, or lose customers on my website. That is absolutely a reality, because you guys watch me for fescue. Hopefully some of you watch me for bluegrass. You see what I do. You go to my website, you buy my materials that I recommend, and that is how I provide for my family. And I know that so many fescue people just think Bermudagrass is the devil. Well, I think I'm the one who told you years ago that it's devil grass. And it is the devil grass when it's in the wrong place. When it's in the right place, it is absolutely drop dead gorgeous. It is fantastic. It is, why do you think they call it the alpha grass? It's because it's just bad to the bone when it's in the right place. That is the crucial statement in what I just said. Obviously, I don't want it in my fescue. And that actually leads into fear number 2, is if I were to change this 14,000 square feet to Bermuda back here, would it creep into my fescue? My answer to that is I don't think so, because where I have my cryptomeria, let me talk to that in a minute. Let's go back to the first fear. I think I do have a set of hard-nosed, hardcore group of folks that it don't matter what I do, you're going to watch and you're going to support me. And I am humbled and grateful and appreciative of that 100%, and I'll always be that way. But then you get the folks that are kind of hit and miss and kind of come and go. Oh, Pete's got Bermuda now. He's a cop-out. He's a sucker. It's a legit worry of mine that I run some of those folks off. And, that's going to make my income go down. That's going to make sales not be as good. Therefore, that will affect me personally and affect my family. And I don't know of any person, any of you watching, who wouldn't be concerned that if your income changes in a dramatic way. It's just human nature. Of course, I understand and know that God's going to provide everything I need, but at the same time, the human side of me, you have to worry about that as a business owner. I don't know. Am I trying to conjure up some type of a fear in my mind that's probably not going to happen? I don't know. Who knows? I reckon the only way you'd ever find out is if I did change it and then look at the numbers and see what happens, right? So back to number 2 is the fear of it spreading in my fescue. I don't think that's going to happen because this strip of pine needles is about 20 foot wide, and the entire 20 feet width, except for one little spot in the middle where the flagpole's at, is heavily shaded. And if you know anything about Bermudagrass, it don't like shade. So one, it's got to go 20 feet across there without me spotting it and hitting it with some Roundup or Roundup Fusilade mix or whatever. And number 2, it's got to get through that shade. So it's not likely for it to happen unless it shoots a 20-foot runner underground and pops up on the other side. By then, more than likely we'll have been and sold the house and be long gone. So it won't bother me anyway. My number 3 fear is I have no fear other than that. I know exactly what I'm doing. This is my yard. And at the end of the day, if I choose to convert it over to Bermuda because that's what I want for my personal life and my yard, then so be it. I'm going to do it. And, some folks ain't going to like it. And I hate to say I don't care, because I do care, because I care about your feelings and I care about making you happy. But in the end of the day, it's my yard. And if, I'm not going to come to you and say, don't you change that yard over to Bermuda. I'm not going to like you anymore. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not that kind of guy. I don't do petty things like that. So I'm not saying this to be a smart A or anything like that. I'm just saying in reality, it's my yard. And if I want to do it like that, then I would hope and pray that the people that support me would be like, go for it, big dog. Do it, man. Have at it. It's your land, your property. Man, fix that thing up however you want it. And that goes back to my wife a little bit. She's a fescue girl, but she's already made the comment, Pete, babe, it don't matter what you put back there. It's going to look good. So humbly saying that. So, I talked it over with my wife too, because, it's her home as well. It's her yard as well. And even though she's a fescue girl, she's kind of okay with it going back here. Big decision. The how do you word this? The worst thing about making a switch from a cool season grass, say, over to Bermuda. This is probably the worst part about it, is you better have your mind set on it. I mean dead set. Because once you get the Bermuda back here, and once it's thriving and growing, you chances of you getting rid of it, and chances of you eradicating the Bermuda and then going back to cool season grass, years down the road or whatever, is slim to none, meaning you're not going to get rid of it permanently. So it is a permanent change that you have to be aware of. And of course, that's something else I have to consider that I just thought about. What about the resale value on the house? Not necessarily resale value, but the resale potential maybe is, what if somebody comes in here and they hate Bermudagrass and they don't want to buy the house because it's got Bermuda in the backyard? Something else I got to think about and consider. So But anyway, I know this was a long video. Thank you for watching it if you're still here. But I wanted to go over a lot of different things and kind of put my thought process into words of what the different things that you have to consider when you go to switching turf types, or if you want to switch a turf type. And then what's actually going through my mind as to the reasons why I'm sitting here looking at the bluegrass right now, and it is just, this area right here gets a heck of a lot more water than the rest of it. So it's plush right here where the tripod's sitting. And man, it looks so good. It looks so good. But I've seen some pictures, and I've seen enough Bermuda, and some of these newer cultivars of Bermuda, they look some kind of good. And they are dark green, and they have a fine leaf blade texture. So the three that I've been looking at is obviously Iron Cutter, Toma 31, and I think the other one was Celebration Bermuda. And what was that other one? Shoot, what did he tell me that other one was? There was one more I was actually thinking about as well. Tiff Grand Bermuda. So it's about 4 different ones I'm thinking about. That's my thoughts. Let me know below what you think about this. And I'll be sure to definitely read the comment. Let me go and say this while I'm at it. I'll say it out loud. Don't hammer down on me because I want to potentially change over to Bermuda. I don't want to read those stupid comments. I don't want to look at them. I don't have no time for it. I'm open to constructive criticism, 100% open to it. I'll read those all day long, and I'll ponder and think on them all day long to help me make this decision. But if you're just going to bash me because I want to change the turf type, or maybe because you think I'm following a fad, or I don't do fads, I do me, and that's all I do. I don't watch YouTube videos all day long and see what grass people are doing. I'll actually work a job during the day, so I'm busy. I don't have time to do all that. But I know that sometimes things, coincidental things happen in the YouTube world. And, oh, hey, this guy did it, so he's doing it just because this guy. I don't do none of that crap. Again, this is my yard. I'll do to it what I want to do to it, period. There's end of discussion on that. But I do like your feedback, and I do like your input because, again, you're in my audience, and what you say does have some weight to it, if that makes sense. So anyway, I'm going to the driving range, and I'm going to work on my short game a little bit. I played some golf the other day, first time in several years. Had an absolute blast, and I think I'm getting the fever again. So, who knows, you might see a big old putting green back here. Check you later.